The story of Savitri and Satyavan is one of the most celebrated tales in Hindu mythology, symbolizing the power of love, devotion, and determination. This story is recounted in the Mahabharata and has been an inspiration for countless generations. Once upon a time, there was a mighty king named Ashwapati who ruled the kingdom of Madra. Despite his wealth and power, King Ashwapati had no children, and this caused him great sorrow. For many years, he and his wife, Queen Malavi, performed penances and prayed to the goddess Savitri for a child. Moved by their devotion, the goddess appeared before the king and granted him a boon. She told him that he would soon have a daughter who would bring great joy to his life. True to the goddess's words, a beautiful and radiant daughter was born to the king and queen, and they named her Savitri, after the goddess who had blessed them. Savitri grew up to be a woman of unparalleled beauty, intelligence, and virtue. Her grace and wisdom were known far and wide. But when the time came for her to marry, no suitor seemed worthy of her. As Savitri reached the age of marriage, her father, King Ashwapati, worried that no one was worthy of his extraordinary daughter. He advised her to find a husband on her own, trusting her judgment completely. Savitri set out on a pilgrimage, traveling through forests and visiting holy places. During her journey, she met many eligible princes and noblemen, but none captured her heart. One day, while traveling through a dense forest, Savitri came across a young man named Satyavan. He was the son of a blind king named Yumatsena, who had lost his kingdom and was living in exile in the forest. Satyavan was noble, wise, and devoted to his parents, and Savitri was deeply moved by his virtues. She knew in her heart that Satyavan was the man she wanted to marry. Savitri returned to her father and informed him of her choice. However, when the sage Narada, a divine seer and advisor, heard about her decision, he was filled with concern. Narada revealed a disturbing prophecy. Satyavan was destined to die exactly 1 year from that day. King Ashwapati was devastated by this news and tried to persuade Savitri to choose another husband. But Savitri was unwavering in her decision. She said, "I have chosen him as my husband, and I shall remain true to him no matter what fate has in store." Admiring her steadfastness, King Ashwapati reluctantly gave his blessing, and Savitri and Satyavan were married. Savitri left the comforts of the palace and began her new life in the forest, living simply and happily with her husband and in-laws. As the days passed, Savitri could not forget the prophecy, and as the fateful day of Satyavan's death approached, her anxiety grew. She decided to observe a strict fast and penance for 3 days, praying fervently for her husband's life. On the morning of the prophesied day, Savitri accompanied Satyavan into the forest, where he went to chop wood. As they walked deeper into the forest, Satyavan suddenly felt dizzy and weak. He lay down under a tree, resting his head on Savitri's lap. Within moments, he lost consciousness, and Savitri knew that the moment foretold by Narada had arrived. The arrival of Yama, the god of death. As Satyavan's life slipped away, the forest grew eerily quiet. Suddenly, Yama, the god of death, appeared before Savitri, holding a noose to capture Satyavan's soul. Yama praised Savitri for her devotion, but informed her that he had to take Satyavan's soul, as it was his time to die. However, Savitri was determined not to let her husband go. She followed Yama as he carried Satyavan's soul away, speaking to him with humility and wisdom. Yama was impressed by her dedication and allowed her to ask for any boon except the life of Satyavan. For more songs, activities, videos and stories, please like and subscribe the channel.